Hey, this is Mark, and tonight I've got a few data recovery jobs. So I'm going to do some streaming while I try and fix these. The first is a 6S, and it's probably going to be pretty straightforward. So first thing I do with the 6S, any iPhone data recovery that's not powering on. This has no real history to speak of, so it's not liquid damaged. No drop was mentioned. So first thing I'm going to do is check VCC main and find that it's full short. So that's always nice. It's usually pretty easy to track down. Now the other phones I have to do tonight are probably not gonna go as well, but I'm gonna start with the one that is pretty straightforward. So I've got a VCC main short on this 6S, and if I were to inject voltage to try and find the source of heat, if I injected at the battery connector, what I would find is that this little transistor right here gets hot. So that doesn't really help me. He's not going to be the cause of the short. So what I've got to do is inject voltage directly into VCC main, bypassing the little transistor that connects battery main to VCC main. And then hopefully whatever's getting hot will declare itself, and then it will just be a cap, and I'll pluck it off, and this one will be solved. So let's see how well that goes. All right. So I want to inject voltage directly into VCC main, and the easiest way to get at it is these two caps right by Wi-Fi. Let's see. So I'm grabbing another 6S board because I always have a hard time remembering on the 6S which end is ground on these caps. And that is because I don't work on a ton of them unless I'm in New York, and typically when I'm there, VCC main shorts have already been ruled out. So I'm going to take another board and just really quick check. Yeah, so it's the bottom. That's kind of what I thought, but better to take the measurement and be sure. All right. That is not what I wanted. There we go. That'll work. Now I'm gonna hook up the DC power supply and see what, if anything, gets hot on VCC main. So I've got some heat down here at the bottom of the board. Just gonna use my lip to narrow it down. All right. So it seems like it's definitely, hey look, yeah, definitely that guy. It's all black at the end. Wonder if he could be the problem. That's what my lip tells me. So we'll just pop him off. I'm not worried about that cap or that pad because my goal is just to get data off of this phone, and even without that pad, the phone's going to function just fine. All right, so now I'm going to try and boot it up via the DC power supply and see what kind of amperage it consumes. So it looks like it's booting normally. So I'll go ahead and pop it into the housing. Oh, hello. There's people here now. Sorry, I didn't see you guys there. Yeah, so we're working on a 6S that came in as not booting, no power, not charging, not doing anything for data recovery, and had a short on VCC main, which was, at least appears to have been, a capacitor that I have plucked off, and now we're going to see if this guy boots. And he's booting. So I'm just going to let it boot up, make sure it has touch, and then put it in the ready to recover pile. Up next, I've got a 6 that is liquid damaged, that has a lower than normal diode mode reading on VCC main, and some pretty obvious signs of corrosion that are pretty focal. So I'm gonna see if I can get that one booting, and then the last thing I have to work on is a SE that that somebody's been fucking around with. It's got some signs of somebody that worked on it that thought they know what they were doing, but they were in over their head. All right, so touch and image work on this one. So yay, get to start everything out with a good successful one while we get progressively closer and closer to the SE that I don't want to even think about right now. All right, but no matter what, I get one win for tonight. All right, next up is this iPhone 6. So it had a few signs of corrosion right in here, a little bit there, a little bit over here on the end of this cap and this coil. I'm not sure about that. I don't think that's corrosion, but I do want to check chestnut at an angle and see if it looks like there's any liquid under there, and nope, that looks good. So flipping it over, you can see definitely audio IC, Mason and Cumulus both got hit. There was some shit over in here, and then probably, you know, maybe some of the balls under this corner of PMIC got hit. These guys over here got hit pretty serious, and in this stuff over here. And then we got a little bit right here, and then a little bit right here. And audio speaker amp looks like it might have gotten hit. And it sounds like it's 3:43 a.m. and the baby is crying, so that's great. Not my job right now. All right, so I've run this through the ultrasonic. Before I put it in the ultrasonic, diode mode on VCC main was measuring 0.166. And it's 0.169 now, so lower than I would like it to be. So I'm going to start with pulling things that are not necessary for the phone to boot. So that's going to be speaker amp, audio codec IC, and both touch ICs. So I'm going to yank those guys off, clean up any corrosion I see, and then see if that cleared the VCC main short. So yeah, definitely got hit under there pretty good. Let's see what the chip looks like. Oh yeah, looks like shit. So that needed to go for sure. Let me go ahead and pull both touch ICs off, just because I know that problems under touch IC can cause the phone not to boot, and touch IC is not necessary for the phone to boot. So my main concern at this point is just to get diode mode on VCC main into, you know, something acceptable, something, you know, like 230, 250 at a minimum, hopefully closer to 300. So that's my first goal, and then once I have that, I'll see if the board will boot, and if it will, then I'll start worrying about image and touch and all that stuff. But it's really important when you're approaching these kind of data recovery jobs that are liquid damage, and, you know, basically anything could be the problem. Don't try to fix all the problems in one go. You know, you got to do it progressively. First thing you want to get is that the phone boots. That's more important than anything else, and you can sacrifice basically any secondary system that could be the cause of it not booting. So, don't worry about touch and image and, any kind of like unnecessary system. Don't worry about fixing those before you know if the phone boots. So now there could still be like a cap pulling the line down, but whenever I see BGA chips with obvious signs that they are corroded underneath, I want to address that first before I start worrying about caps. So let's see. We got 226 in diode mode on VCC main now. So that's really lower than I want. So I'm going to knock off a couple of things that look like shit. So these guys are both going to go. Get rid of this guy too. I'm going to be worried about that resistor if for, it doesn't boot. If I get like weird behavior when it's trying to boot. I'm not familiar with him offhand, so I can't say for sure that that's like a common I2C line that goes down or something. And really the things I'm flicking off, I'm not even certain that all of these are on VCC main. I'm just going with the, if it looks like shit, get rid of it, and then see what you're working with approach. So let's see what's the measurement on VCC main now. Okay, now I'm up to 316, so I'm happy with that. I think probably now when I test this, it's going to boot with image, and it will have no touch until I put touch ICs back on. But I think we're good to boot now. Oh, and fucking camera. One of these days I'm going to get a better camera to point at my hands that I don't have to go over and hit a button on every time. What? Come on, camera. Okay. All right, so now we do have an image here. So I'm good with that. I don't need to let it boot up and see if I have touch because I already know I'm not going to because I took touch ICs off. So we'll slap some touch ICs on here, make sure that it has working touch, and then toss it in the ready to recover pile. Nate Parker says, Mark, are those chips worth reballing or better to throw away? Nate, that really depends on, what do you have to do and how much is the time it takes to reball these things worth it to you? Because I don't believe that these chips will have failed, right? So the problem is that the solder balls underneath them got corroded, so they don't have a good connection to the board everywhere anymore. and there's, lines being shorted to ground or shorted into other lines. But, all of that is addressed by removing the chip. And then, there's no reason to believe that the chip itself has failed for any reason. So, the answer is yes, you could reball these chips, but, do you have the time to do that, and is it worth that to you? If you decide that the answer is yes, I've got a baby food jar full of them that I will sell for a quarter of the cost of new ones. And all you got to do is reball them. And then, you get, what, like $5 per Mason IC or $7 or whatever it is now. But to me, I don't reball them just because really that it's an added variable that I don't want to throw into there. Like when I sit down and I want to fix it, I just want to sit down and put chips on that are going to work and not have to dick around with everything. I could maybe like take a day off and reball stuff. But then, if something doesn't go right, if touch didn't work after I put these on, then, I would question all of the ones that I had reballed from then on. Like, did I do a good job on all of them? Do I need to go back and inspect them all? And when I'm dealing with new ones, it's just like I don't have to think about it. Now, I know when I'm replacing the touch ICs on a 6 like this, there's always the possibility that I'm going to take out backlight when I change Cumulus. So I know that is one possible outcome when I boot this up, is that backlight doesn't work, but image and touch are fine. And that's because the backlight driver's right there and it's underfilled, and basically it will just expand and push the chip up and like pop it off its balls. So hopefully I don't have to deal with that, but it's something to always be aware of. Newbies will change touch ICs and then lose backlight because of that, and automatically assume that like the phone's not booting now. And waste a lot of time troubleshooting a problem that really is just backlight. But I've still got backlight, so that's good. There, see, backlight. What type of mix is in the jar? It's a lot of cumulus and mason, and then and then a good amount of TriStars, which I would not recommend reballing because those TriStar, when that fails, it's the chip that fails. And then there's a lot of like liquid damage stuff, so audio ICs and speaker amp ICs. The only thing that's in there that really, oh, look at that, too hot, but I can hit the emergency button and I can hit some of these, so I just booted it up before I let it cool off enough. So this one's going in the ready to recover pile because it now has touch and image. And now, man, that kind of sucks. I was hoping I would get to work on some of these other ones for a little longer because I really don't want to fuck around with this 5S or this SE. Let's see, short to ground on iPhone 6S and found cap next to your famous one, still full short on PP CPU, iPhone and DFU. Yeah, so Nate is on the right track there. So you don't want to get trolled by PP CPU, PP GPU, or PP SoC because those are naturally low resistance to ground. They carry a low voltage, so like around 1 volt or a little less than 1 volt, but a high amperage. And just because of the nature of the way electricity works, because of Ohm's law, when you're delivering high amperage at a low voltage, you have to have a low resistance. So when you're testing those lines with a multimeter in continuity mode, what you're really testing is, do I have a low resistance on this line? And for a lot of multimeters, that means you're saying, is this line less than 100 ohms? And the problem is that with these SoC, CPU, GPU, anything that is, running low voltage, high amperage to power CPU, those are going to measure less than 100 ohms. So you're going to get a beep, and you're going to think that you found a short, and then you're going to wreck stuff trying to diagnose and fix that. So I would say if you get a diode mode reading on those lines of like 0.03 or less, like 0.016 to 0.03, you should just ignore them, or compare to a known good. Okay, anyway, so moving on. This is the 5SE that has some liquid damage. So yeah, let's see what we're dealing with here. We've got obvious signs next to CPU that this stuff has gotten hot over here. This guy's gotten hot, this guy's gotten hot. Look at all this shit over here. These guys are all hot, all of this, all the way around. So, I don't know if the guy that worked on this before me was like asked the internet and they were like, re-hot CPU, bro. But I'm going to guess that's what happened. So then we've got this. So don't know what the fuck was going on here. I don't know how all of this happened. It looks like it probably happened when he was removing a diode here. That, this is the backlight filter. This is the main backlight coil for backlight. This is the main diode. This is the main cap. And then this is like the secondary coil, cap, and diode. And this diode is like a little glass guy that doesn't really have any legs sticking out, so you have to take him off with hot air. So I'm going to guess that that's what happened here. Somebody's taken that guy off with hot air and just stirred the pot a little bit over here. So that's not cool. And then we've got not like this little hump on this cap is a little worrying. These two right here. But other than that, not a lot of signs that too much heat was on PMIC. This was obviously liquid damaged here, and somebody's been in here with tweezers and chipped this guy, which he's not necessary for the phone to boot, but you can't just fucking take a chunk out of a IC like that and leave it there. And then we've got this stuff over here, all over here. So it looks like he was rehotting NAND or TriStar and Tigris, so that's not cool. This cap over here got hit pretty bad with water. Definitely some corrosion happened up in here. And then, I don't know, the rest of the board doesn't look too bad. So, I don't know what they cleaned this board with originally, but there's like this white residue that didn't all come out when I cleaned the board. It's kind of gross, whatever. Alright, so touch ICs, maybe they might have corrosion under them. There's definitely water in the area. I'm not going to pull those unless, you know, other things I'm trying aren't working. Let's see if I can get a look underneath the backlight driver. Oh yeah, that looks like shit. So backlight driver's definitely coming off. And I'm just gonna like pluck these guys out of there and just make that stop being shorted. I'm gonna yank this guy off and take off backlight driver and see where we're at. I don't know. I'll take off Chestnut too. Looks like probably the guy before me replaced Chestnut. Maybe. I don't know. It's a fucking mess. I hate this. Okay, let's see. Yours is full short. 0.000003. All right, so I'm not exactly sure how you're measuring that. Is that your diode mode reading? Your multimeter measures to like 10,000ths of a volt? Because that, you know, I don't want to give advice if I'm misinterpreting what you're telling me, but it seems like you're saying that you're measuring at, you know, 3/10,000ths of a volt in diode mode. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pluck this cap off too. I don't like the look of him. And if we don't have backlight driver, we don't need that cap. Let's see. All right, I'm going to yank this little guy off. There we go. And And I don't know, I kind of want to take the audio IC off, but I think I'll just see what it's going to do before I go that far. Okay, so in diode mode, you're measuring 0.014. So I would say compare that to a known good board before you start worrying about that line being short, because I've seen some of those lines measure like 0.016, 0.015 before. So you're probably good. And Nate, common reasons why CPU will get super hot. No, there isn't really, at least not that I've run across, common reasons for CPU to get super hot. I know on a lot of, the boards from like the 6 and up, when you have the CPU shield off, they will run hotter than you think that they should, even when there's nothing wrong with them. So I wouldn't immediately think that CPU getting hot is the source of a problem if the phone is booting. So I guess it really depends on what's the history of the problem that you're troubleshooting. So I need to know what the symptom is in the context of the individual repair. So I'm just trying to pick away whatever corrosion might still be left there. Looks like I still have a little guy shorted here, so I'm going to get rid of him. Okay. All right, let's see what reading I get on VCC main now. From memory, it seems like I remember the SE having similar diode mode readings to like a 6 or a 6S on VCC main. So let's see what I'm getting. Oh, yeah, getting open line on the anode, of course. Where's VCC main on a 5SE? I don't know if you can tell that I don't see a lot of these. Let's see. Seeing if anything jumps out at me to jog my memory. I know these coils are on main, but they're hard to get to. Okay, that definitely should not be full short right there. Yeah, so VCC main is still full short to ground. So now I have to inject some voltage and see what gets hot. All right, so I'm going to go with pulling the backlight coil and using its pad as a place to inject voltage. Now, to be clear, with this SE, I don't really have high hopes. All of the signs of people working on it and getting things too hot that are filled with underfill, particularly the CPU, I don't really like that, so that makes me really not want to even work on this one, but you know, gotta. All right. Let's see. Where did my wire that I was injecting with go? Where's my red wire? Oh well, got some new ones. Let's see. Got 243 on one iCloud and 372 on another. Sorry, Stellar Cellular. There's no way that you're getting 243 and 372 on a line like PPCPU, PPGPU, or PPSoC. I don't know how that would be possible. I've never seen that. So I'm going to have to guess that you're not measuring in the right spots or something, because those should be really, really low measurements in diode mode on those lines. It's the same phone that has really hot chestnut and backlight drivers. I don't know the history. It boots and operates well, but is running too warm. No liquid damage. I may have replaced Mason and realized it was getting hot. I don't know, man. It sounds like you need to get some freeze spray and pinpoint the source of your heat instead of, like, you know, it sounds like right now that you know the vicinity of what's getting hot, but you don't really know what's getting hot. And it's not a nebulous something is getting hot. It's a very specific this thing is getting hot. So you still have to figure out what this thing is. And maybe it is CPU, but maybe it's not. And it doesn't sound like you know that yet. All right. So injecting voltage, see what gets hot here. Use the old lip again. Oh, yeah, something's getting hot right there. Okay, so something in this area getting really fucking hot. All right, so I don't have freeze spray, but what I do have is Ultra Duster. So I'm just gonna turn this can upside down and spray some of this keyboard cleaner on it. Works just as good as canned air. Now let's see if we can tell what's getting hot. I must have missed that. Oh, yep, that guy. That guy's getting hot. So, is it this guy? Is it this guy? Damn it. Ugh. I looked away to disconnect ground, and now I can't remember which one it was. All right, so chestnut's getting hot. So then pull chestnut and boot and see, does something else get hot? All right, that guy. Okay, I was right. It was him. It's the guy I thought it was. Gonna get rid of you, you fucker. See, out of all the caps on here, I wouldn't have just picked that one as the source of a short. Alright, so now when I connect DC power supply, I'm pulling like 50 milliamps, which means there's still a leak on the line. It's still not 100%, but it is better, and it may be well enough to boot and get data from, which is really my main concern here. Hate it when I do this. It's so annoying. Maybe these two guys right here are supposed to talk to each other at this end. I don't know, but I'm not chancing it, and I'm not looking it up. Just gonna clear this short eventually. There we go. All right, let's see if this will boot up. We've got fluctuating current draw, but it's all kind of low. And that's before I prompt to boot. It's kind of flickering between like 50 and 70 milliamps. I know they changed what pins I'm supposed to short to get this thing to boot in the SE. At least I think they did. So chestnut is getting hot because something mirrored is shorted, and it's getting the heat kind of like Q1401. No, I don't think that's the case for you. I think you should just, if you suspect chestnut, then remove it to rule it out. So, you know, if you think you found what's getting hot, take what's getting hot off, and then see, is anything getting hot? And, you know, see, does it boot? Does iTunes detect it? All right, so my ZXW is down. So I need to look up what pins I'm supposed to short to ground to get this thing to prompt to boot, because I don't have a 5SE dock, so I can't prompt to boot via the dock. I thought it was these guys, but that doesn't really seem to be doing anything. Alright, let's put this in a housing and see what it does. Okay. When I prompt to boot in a housing, it jumps up to 280 to 300 milliamps immediately and just sits there. So definitely something is still shorted, but it's not VCC main anymore. See, I don't remember what the reading on VCC main is now. It is 0.118, so still low. I guess my next thing I'm going to go for then is these touch ICs, because it does look like liquid got up near them. So just yank them off and see what happens. Alright, Sage, what do you look like underneath? Not really bad. You're not too bad. Let's see if Cumulus is any worse. I don't think Cumulus is going to look too bad either. Nope. Alright, well, next on my list would be Audio IC, so we'll get rid of him. Oh, and I completely neglected something that that I noticed earlier but didn't mention because I was already kind of on a train of thought, but yeah, there's definitely, what is it, like the NFC chip over here was definitely cockeyed. Oh no, it was Flash driver. That guy was looking like shit over there. He's definitely not straight, and one side is farther down than it should be. So we'll pull him off. Alright. Now, with these guys off, what is diode mode on VCC main? Well, it is less than 100 right now, which is why it's beeping. So diode mode is still, honestly, I don't know. That could be low, or it could be not low. So I know on the like 5S and 5C, diode mode on VCC main is typically very much lower than it is in the 6 series. And the SE may be similar. I really just don't know. Let's see. It's at 0.082 and doesn't seem to be going up. So I really should have checked if I had ZXW working before I started the video, because it would make it a lot easier if I could just pull that up and see everything to pluck off. But now I'm just gonna kind of wing it and pull off things that could be the problem. So I'm gonna suspect chestnut because there's signs that liquid is around there, and I'm gonna pull off the caps near chestnut that kind of look like shit. So yeah, it looks like there's definitely some garbage under chestnut. Look at that shit. So that was probably a good idea. And I'll go ahead and pull off a couple of these really ugly caps. All right, what do we got now? We got a board that needs to cool off some. So let's see what's going on in chat. Nate, you're having trouble getting your ZXW up too, so maybe they've come out with some update. I'm gonna check really quick and see. Yeah, it looks like ZXW 2.5 is out now, so we'll try that. What is my hot air station temperature on? Those chips are flying off easy. I don't like to throw numbers out there. It's on the setting that's hot enough, but not too hot. So that on my station, that is a particular number. That number is different on the station I use in New York. That number is different on Jess's station when I use her station in New York. So, you know, that number is going to be different on any station you use. So, you know, I don't want to tell you what the number on my station is, because that is not going to be the right number for your station. Hot air you have to figure out how your hot air works, and you do that by practicing on donor boards and seeing how it behaves. So yeah, my recommendation, if you're thinking that you might need to adjust your temperature settings, I recommend that you start at maybe 350 or 360 Celsius, and then go up 10 degrees if it feels like it's taking too long. Go up 10 degrees at a time and until it works, because the temperature you're delivering is going to vary based on the shape of your nozzle, the size of your nozzle, the distance you're holding the nozzle away from the board, the airflow setting that you have your hot air set to, and the temperature that you have your hot air set to. So just knowing one of those variables isn't going to tell you anything about how your station's going to behave. So yeah, handy parts. My hot air station does have a digital display, but you know, the temperature that I use it at is 20 degrees cooler than the temperature that I use Jessa's at to do the same job. So, you know, that's why I don't want to tell you what number it is, because it's not going to be right for you. Yeah. Start at 350 and go up 10 degrees at a time until, you know, you should be able to get a BGA chip off in like 30 seconds or less. If it's taking longer than 30 seconds, go up 10 degrees. All right, so I'm downloading the new ZXW, which is going to take another 2 minutes. All right, this has cooled off somewhat. Let's see what diode mode reading is on it now. And again, I fully expect to stop working on this before I've solved it tonight. So if you're wanting to see me fix this 5S, you're most likely in for disappointment. All right, so diode mode is 0.094 on VCC main, which I feel like is low. I'm going to go ahead and connect power, and let's see. Yeah, again, it's pulling like 50 to 70, down to 40, back up to 50, back up to 60 to 70 milliamps as soon as I connect power. So that's kind of really weird behavior. And I really hate seeing weird behavior that I've never seen before on a device that has shit like this next to CPU and shit like this next to NAND. That really sucks. I don't like having to troubleshoot that stuff. And I definitely don't feel like doing it on stream because I get frustrated and I like to be able to just put the motherfucker down, walk away for 20 minutes, and then come back to it later. So, let's see. That cap looks like shit. We'll knock you off. Holy shit, that's fucking dug down into the board. All right. Let's see, what else looks really bad? I don't like the look of this guy. All right, I'm going to put this back in a housing and see what it does. So it's still pulling close to 300 milliamps as soon as I prompt it to boot. And I would expect that there's probably some heat being generated on the back side of the board, but I can't check until I've figured out where to probe to prompt this thing to boot. Alright, ZXW is finally done. All right, looks like the new update for ZXW is working, so that's good. This tool has made me lazy because I know how to go in the schematics and figure out which pins I use to prompt this to boot, but if I don't have to do it, I'm going to avoid doing it. All right, so it is, yeah, it's the fourth one down. So, should be short this guy to ground, and I should get it to prompt to boot, and then hopefully I can detect some heat. All right, it is pulling 250 milliamps now. Well, not now. Try this again. And we're going to try some freeze spray because that's really not standing out. Whew, that stuff comes out hard. Damn it. Keep disconnecting the power every time I flip it over. What is gonna melt first? Oh, corner of PMIC. Fucking awesome! Yay! That's exactly what I wanted. Alright, so yeah, I do not have these PMICs on hand. This is going to have to wait until I can get some of these shipped down to me. So yeah, I wish I had a more exciting conclusion to this fun stream. But I guess I'm just gonna have to end without fixing this one. Damn. Nate, you're saying your ZXW looks like it got deleted? Yeah, mine said something like that too. When I clicked like the shortcut I made, it said that the program was no longer available or some shit. So I just go to zxwtools.com and then I use Google Chrome to translate that page into English. I click on the link to download, and then I use Google Chrome to translate that page into English. And then I click on the link for the most recent ZXW that is hosted by Baidu. And then it tells me page cannot be found, and I click refresh, and then it actually loads the page. And then I click the little download icon that's next to the Chinese words that probably say download. It's pretty straightforward. It's just, you know, you got to either speak Chinese or translate into English with your browser. Look in ZXW and find what's under that part of the PMIC. Yeah, that is definitely a route I'm going to go with this. But, I didn't include this board intending to fix it on stream, just to really look at it. So I kind of want to go take a break and put this one aside, and I don't know, I might do some long screw damage or something. All right, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the views. Yeah, it's definitely not on the other side of the board. It's, I could tell just with my fingers what side of the board it was on. The other side of the board is CPU. So CPU was feeling a little bit warm, but it was much hotter on the PMIC side. And with my lip, it did feel like there was a pinpoint of heat, but it wasn't obvious where it was coming from. So that's why I used the freeze spray. And it's definitely coming from the corner of this PMIC, and probably maybe even this line that has this coil on it. But the problem is that I don't have a known good board to compare to, so I'm really not prepared to fully get this board working tonight. Let's see. No, that's 500. That's not bad. Not bad. Yeah, so let's see what ZXW says about that corner of the board. Let me screen share so you guys can see too. All right. Hopefully this is working. So what do we have over here? We got some ground. We got PP2V5 rear camera, which is on this cap right here. So without switching over, I'm just going to quickly probe that cap and see if I get a beep. Oh yeah, I already did. Yeah, that was like 0.500. That one's good. Let's see, what else do we have? PP1V8 VA. Where else do you go? So I'll probe these guys real quick. Eh, 0.5 there too, so not really concerned about that. Let's see what else. Some VCC main in that corner, which seems like it might be low. And some ground. Oh, I don't like the look of that. VCC main and a bunch of ground next to each other. I think for me the best route to go here is going to be to work on this board once I have a new PMIC to put on and take that possibility out of the equation. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it a night now for the stream. Paul had a board, 5S. Hot PMIC turned out to be another component on the same line. Yeah, that's not uncommon in the 5S and 5C. But I haven't worked on the SE enough to know how common that is. I know that the PMICs are pretty significantly different, and then in there it's the same or very similar to the 6S and 6S Plus. And I know I've worked on enough of those to say that you don't really see a lot of some other component making PMIC get hot, whereas in the 5S or 5C it's pretty common. But electronically, it seems to me the way the circuits are laid out, it looks like the SE is a lot closer to the 6S than it is to the 5S. So, you know, I'm still learning about it, but my intuition tells me that it's not going to be like the 5S or 5C where some other component is making PMIC get hot. But, you know, we'll see. I'll probably stream this when I pick it back up, but I don't know when that's going to be. So I got 2 wins for tonight and 1 fail. I'm happy with that. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks, and have a good night.